If you could do a mulligan, if you could get a do-over and rerun the campaign, is there things that is there one thing or several things you would do differently?
Well, one of the things that I'm telling the people who are thinking of running in 2016, and I spend a good deal of my time helping Republican candidates in various races, but I also speak to people thinking of running in 2016 and offer my thoughts. Some are related to policy. I think it's important that we don't fall into the trap that the opposition party always lays for us. They always communicate that Republicans are the party of the rich and that they are the party of the poor and the middle class. And nothing could be further from the truth, in my opinion. The rich, by the way, will do fine under leadership, Republican or Democrat. It's the poor and the middle class that will have a very different life, depending on whether conservative principles or liberal principles are applied. I wouldn't be a Republican if I didn't think that the principles of my party were best to help people come out of poverty and have better jobs and higher incomes. But we as a party sometimes fall into the trap of sounding like we're the party for the wealthy, and that just kills us. And so I talk to folks about their tax policy to make sure we don't adopt policies that allow the opposition party to demagogue us and make us sound like we're trying to help wealthy people as opposed to help everybody. And of course, the other thing that I talk about is the need for us to do a better job taking our message to minority voters. And there's a bit of a challenge there built in. It's a bit of a catch-22 because minority voters don't vote very heavily in Republican primaries. Minority voters, by and large, vote very extensively in Democratic primaries, but because we've done such a poor job to date, there are not a lot of minorities in our primaries. So if you're running for president or Senate or governor, and you get a long primary, let's say 2 years out. I mean, these folks that are running right now, it's almost 2 years they've got. They're going to spend their time in the Republican contest trying to get Republican primary voters to support them. And they're primarily majority ethnic voters. And so that's where they'll spend all their time. They won't spend time with Hispanic voters, young voters, with African-American voters, because they're working on the other primary. And then when we have a nominee, he or she only has a few months to run off and let the minority community know that we're interested in your vote too. And they say, well, where have you been the last 2 years? And so I'm telling the people who are running on our side, look, even though it may not be critical to you becoming the nominee, it's essential for us as a party to connect with minority voters and explain why the principles you believe will help the minority community and middle-income families and poor families in a way that the Democrats won't. And those are a couple things that I do now, and those things would have applied to me.
Is there things you could have done differently?
A do-over, I'd have made a much bigger effort. One, monitoring Hispanic TV and what the Obama campaign was saying about me on the Hispanic TV networks and fighting back, which I should have done much more effectively, and taking my message to the minority communities. That's probably the single most important thing I'd have done differently.
So keeping with the sports analogy, if there were instant replay and you could get the folks to re-look at something again a little more closely, perhaps without the crush of the campaign optics, do you think there's things if they looked at the 2012, either the platform or the message or something else that it would be have a different result this time if they looked at you in this moment and saw the real you rather than maybe the way you thought you were being presented?
Well, I don't spend a lot of time going back and trying to rehearse what I'd have done differently piece by piece. I instead look forward to 2016. And 2014, by the way, was a critical time, and I worked in a number of campaigns and look at 2016. But I'm convinced that the biggest difference I would need to have taken in my campaign to be successful would to have be a more successful outreach to the minority communities, Hispanic community, African American, Asian American, and others. And you know, I did well with the majority population, as you know, but way underperformed with minority population. So you look back and say, that's where you ought to spend more time.
So you said looking back as if it was a negative thing. That's what we do in political science, by the way. You know, we're very, very good at predicting the past. That's how we make our money.
That's why you're a political scientist,
yes,
and
that's right.
You know, I ran for office and became a governor.
So that's right. Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. So
yeah, but I lost twice, so that doesn't count.